Hello, my name is Ellen. I am Knits to Stay Sane on Ravelry, Instagram and Twitter, and today I'm going to show you how to make these stitch markers out of paper beads. You're going to need paper beads. You're also going to need either some crafter's wire or paper clips. You're going to need pliers and some wire cutters. Okay, so to start I am going to cut a length of crafter's wire. Doesn't matter what length, because you're just going to carry on making the markers out of this one length until you run out, and then you'll cut yourself another one. Also, and quite importantly, going to need a knitting needle. And your knitting needle is going to be the form that you wrap the wire around to make the loop for your stitch marker. This one is a 7mm knitting needle, and I use 7mm because I very rarely knit over or larger than a 6mm needle. You can make your stitch markers obviously as big or as small as you like. I would recommend going 1 or 2 sizes bigger than the needle that you're wanting to use your stitch markers for. So first off, we are going to wrap the wire around the knitting needle to form our loop. Okay, and then I'm going to wrap the short end around the long end to secure the loop. And then just squish it in, trying to hide the cut end of your wire so as it doesn't catch on your yarn. I have to say, this type of stitch marker I've used on lace knitting and all sorts of delicate yarns and not had a problem, but just to be on the safe side, try and hide that twisted end inside your loop as best you can. And then it's simply a case of threading on your bead, if I can get hold of one, like that, oops, like that even, and then snip your wire about 1/2 centimetre past the end of your bead, and then we're going to use our pliers to bend that wire back on itself to make a little loop, like so. And that's it. One stitch marker. Easy peasy. You may have noticed that some of the markers I've made have other beads on, and that's just because I have a little range of beads. You can put as many or as few on as you like to make them look pretty. We'll do that once more. Okay, so we're going to bend the wire around the needle to make our loop, like so. Take our pliers, wrap the short end around the long end, and then tuck the end, the cut end, in as best you can so it doesn't catch. I do that just by squeezing it flat. Okay, we're going to thread our bead on like that. Snip our wire about 1/2 centimetre off the end of the bead. Take your pliers and hook it round. Squeeze to get your ends in again. Another stitch marker made. Now, it did dawn on me that some folk might not be able to get hold of crafting wire easily, so I thought, what else can you make stitch markers out of? And I thought, haha, paper clip. Okay, so this is just a bog standard paper clip. Ideally I would use one with thinner wire, because this wire, with it being just that bit thicker, is going to be more difficult to bend, which is why I have now moved away from my crafting pliers and onto my heavy duty pliers that I nicked out of my other half's toolbox. Okay, so we are going to do exactly the same thing. This is going to be a little bit more difficult, as I said, because your wire is thicker. Okay, but we're going to do exactly the same thing. We're going to wrap our wire around the knitting needle, like that, and then we're going to twist it. Sorry, I'm going out of frame. Twist it around the long end. Oops. And squeeze. A bit more fiddly because it's just that bit more stiff. If you can find more delicate stitch mark paper clips, you'll do a better job than that. Okay, and we're going to thread our bead down the wire. Take our, there we go, wire cutters. Bend it. And then we have another stitch marker, but that one is made out of paper clip. Do it one more time. I think the secret to this would be to find myself some significantly thinner and more delicate paper clips, but unfortunately I couldn't find any in the house at any rate. So okay, opened up paper clip. I'm going to wrap it around my knitting needle, like so. And then I'm going to twist the short end, badly, around, excuse me, around the long end of my wire, like so. Okay, and then we're going to pick a bead, thread it down, oops, the length of the wire, take the cutters, and then bend. There you go. So I'll add those. So the ones I've already made, we'll get a nice little collection together. Stitch markers using paper clip beads, and in some cases paper clips.